Hurricane Helene continues to get more intense and has its sights set on the United States for tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justus, keeping you up to date on all things Helene here. It is getting stronger. That eye wall is getting more well-defined, and the impacts are being felt so far north of where this eye is, so far east, so far west. It's a big storm with wide-reaching impacts that are set to bring in a lot of them to the United States. I've got all the tools here to keep you up to date. All the watches and warnings are right here beside of me, and there's a lot of them. Hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings for almost every county in South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and most of western North Carolina. Then you go into Tennessee with some flooding. This is ongoing right now. Water rescues are ongoing in South Carolina, in North Carolina. Dams are getting to where the flooding is so high they have to open the floodgates. That leads to problems downstream, and the system hasn't even arrived yet. Let me show you what I'm talking about and where we're at right now. In Lake Lure, North Carolina, there's rain that's come down so hard and heavy, they had to let the lake out with the floodgates. They had to let the floodgates up to 9 feet. The flood sirens downstream started going off last night at 1 a.m. Talk about a wake-up call, right? And the flooding rose those downstream creeks and rivers by feet, several feet, bringing areas that were not underwater in minutes. That's the kind of situation we're dealing with, and this has not even made landfall yet. So we have rain that's already way over where we should have it in many situations. So this system, you can see the convection on that right front quadrant. Now that's why I want to tell you, as it makes its way up, anybody that's on that right front side of the system is going to get the worst of the wind. Look at all the watches and warnings again, all the reds, all of Florida, all of Georgia, all of South Carolina, and then most of western North Carolina here, folks. This is going to be a big deal. Brand new track just came out from the National Hurricane Center, and it's a Cat 2 right now, set to become a Category 3 hurricane. On approach to Florida, it gets closer to that Cat 4 status, but it's moving so fast that it's going to run out of time to do that. This system is really booking it, and that's why it's going to have higher impacts farther inland. Notice it's still an 85-mile-per-hour Cat 1 hurricane over Georgia. Now, it weakens to a tropical storm somewhere in here, but anywhere on this east side is going to see the wrath of those winds that are still going to be near hurricane strength on land. I'm talking to Atlanta, Athens, Milledgeville, Statesboro, Pooler, Savannah, Georgia. You're all going to get in some rough winds today and severe weather threats. There have been multiple tornado concerns out there already on this morning. So let's look at the models. What are they saying today? Well, the models are pretty much intact here. Maybe right up through the Bay of Campeche here is over here, and you got Apalachicola. So Apalachicola, Cedar Key looks to still be a pretty good idea of where this makes landfall. And you've got all the models on here, the Euro, the GFS, the UK, the Canadian, and all of its ensemble members. So somewhere between South Carolina and Atlanta to Alabama is going to be the line there. Look at the flooding that's ongoing already. I mean, and this is, again, before landfall has even occurred. You've got parts of these rivers down here as I pull the sidebar up. The forecast is for some of these areas to reach flood stage. It's like this river right here, the Sopachapi River, is sitting right now at 11.9 feet. It's going to rise to 33 feet. All right, so that's just one example there along the coast at this one. All right, let's go farther inland, why don't we? How about Dawson and Pinewood Road at Lee County, Georgia? All right, just random here. We've got a river that's normally running at 3 feet, forecast to go to 17 feet. All right, let's get up in here to western North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina because we have significant flooding already happening. Let's look at the Saluda River above Old Easley Road. Normally running at about 2 feet. It's sitting double what it normally runs at 4 feet. And the forecast here, folks, the forecast for Friday morning, Friday afternoon is for that river and the Saluda to get to 17 feet. From 2 feet to 17 feet. That's a 15-foot jump there because of all this water coming off of the mountains. Let's look at Anderson, Saluda River at West Pelzer. Again, the Saluda is going to take the brunt of a lot of this mountain rain. 4 feet to 5 feet to 17 feet. What's ongoing in the mountains is oh so dangerous. The French Broad River near Biltmore and Asheville. sitting at normally 4 feet, set to go to 22 feet. So we're going to see these jumps where 4 foot of water is normally here. That's a normal day. Double that would be 8 feet, right? We're talking triple, sometimes quadruple where these numbers should be. And that's what's oh so dangerous about this. Swannanoa at Biltmore set to go from 1.5 feet on a normal day to 15. I mean, wow, 1.5 to 15. That's incredible, folks. That's devastating. Devastating type flooding that's going to be going inland. So how about the tracks? The tracks are oh so important, but honestly, if you're this black track, which is the mean of all the models, the consensus, a lot of them are kind of over here to the west. You're splitting hairs at this point. Rain's going to be impactful. Winds are going to be within 5 miles of each other, okay? Not going to see big changes there because this wind field with this system is so wide-reaching. So there's the GFS, and its ensemble's pretty well intact with it going right up here east of Atlanta into Toccoa, up through western North Carolina, then looping back around through Tennessee. The recon hunters have been in this. They found a couple of instances with near Cat 3 winds. Not enough to make it a Cat 3 yet, but they crisscross applesauce this thing up and down, feeding our models, by the way. But again, to reiterate, the wind field with this is such a wide reach. So wind is going to be a problem for everybody well east of this system, which is why I have such big concerns for Charlotte, for Greenville, for Atlanta. There will be widespread power outages into tomorrow morning. And it's that right front quadrant here, as you can see. That's the most potent of the storm. There's the eye wall. That right side is the worst side. So how does this unfold? How do you plan your day out, folks? Well, today is going to be a flood day where the rain just gets too much for some of these creeks and streams. Here we go into this evening. I mean, we've got just a tremendous amount of rain just coming down all day long. It might start slacking up 7, 8, 9 o'clock, but it's going to be short-lived. By 2, 3, 4 o'clock, this thing's already on land. So landfall looks to occur between 7 and 9 o'clock toward the south here, Apalachicola area. Then moving north through Valdosta. Then it's up north toward Milledgeville, goes right over Milledgeville, goes right over Athens, Georgia. And then by 6 or 7 o'clock, some of those worst bands are over the upstate. The worst weather looks to be for Clemson University, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Asheville. Looks to be between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Here's 7 a.m. There's 8 a.m. There's 9. There's 10. So by 10, the worst of the weather is pulling away from the upstate and in the mountains. By 11, it's in the mountains. By 12, it's pulling into Kentucky and Virginia. And severe weather will be a concern here toward the coast for anybody watching over there. That'll be the more tornadic, twisty turning side of things. All right. So this NAM model wants to take it very similar to the GFS: Milledgeville, Athens, Toccoa, Nantahala, basically Highlands, up to the north. All right. Then it clears us out. We're rain free as early as 1 o'clock in the upstate in Georgia. So, I mean, it's in and out. It's a 4 or 5 hour blast, and then it's gone. By Saturday, some rains over Georgia, and it's going to fizzle itself out over the Midwest. All right, how about impacts? What do the impacts look like? Let's start with rain, because that's, again, my greatest concern. Through the storm. Now, this is already. Look at the rain swath. I'm going to zoom in because, again, some of these areas in South Carolina and North Carolina have already had 5, 6 inches of rain already. This is additional rain, does not count what you've already had. So 5.75 inches expected in Spartanburg, 6 to 8 in Greenville. These are not snow forecasts, folks. These are rain forecasts. And these areas right here, Hickory Nut Gorge, Lake Lure, one of the biggest trouble spots you'll find in this storm. Henderson County as well. These areas, history repeats itself. Growing up in the Western Carolinas, these are the areas that we had the greatest concerns, were natural disaster areas at times. So it's those areas that we really had to watch closely. How about wind speeds and totals? Peak winds with this are just devastating, and it's moving so fast that you've got a Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 3, Cat 4, bordering on a Cat 4, making landfall, blasting through Georgia, then going up through the upstate. Look at those gusts in Asheville, in Greenville, 75 to 80 miles per hour. I'm telling you, folks, it's not just that model. Look at our other models. Here's the GFS. 85 in Columbia, 79 in Greenwood, 68 in Greenville, 73 in Anderson. How about the European model? 64 to 70 with 80s down here just a little bit farther to the south. How about the HRR? Sometimes can be a little aggressive, sometimes can be a little muted. Let's go to the most recent long-range run. 64, 65. I mean, these gusts are going to blast through the area, and this is going to cause power outages. In addition to that, can't rule out an isolated tornado here or there. That's going to be a concern that I have moving forward here as these areas get into some trouble later today. We will keep you posted, folks. That's my commitment to you, is throughout this storm, as we monitor all things Helene moving along with this storm system, all the watches, all the warnings. You see tornado warnings in red there for parts of southern upstate. We've got those concerns here moving forward, but the wind and the rain will be the most significant impacts that we'll feel with this system. Folks, please let me know where you're watching from. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. I give you severe weather forecasts no matter where you're watching from, and I sure appreciate your trust. My prayers are with you for safety. My prayers are with first responders and power crews that'll be out in this. We'll get through this. Saturday, Sunday, going to be beautiful, but we got a rough 48 hours ahead, folks.